Hi, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. So, today I want to talk a little bit about sex magic. We're coming up on Valentine's Day. Love is in the air for a lot of people. Um, especially if you're dating in relationships, things like that, or not. Anyway, but the point is, this is not a thing about how to get a man. Let me just be clear, or how to get a girl. It's more about when you're already in a relationship with somebody, um, or you're I guess you're trying to get the information for when you want to get to that particular act, the act of sex, and use it magically. So here we go. All right, so sex magic is not um, honestly something that is a magic where it's very difficult to understand or even difficult to put into implementation. All If you're able to manifest already and you're able to visualize and you're able to align with your goals and what you want to bring into fruition, into your reality, then you'll be able to carry out sex magic just fine. So let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. So sex magic could be anything from spells you're doing while actually having sex with someone, with multiple someones, or with yourself. Spells, it can result in an actual object, an amulet or something like that, at the result of raising all the energy, the sexual energy. That could be the result of the spell, or it could not. Um, Sometimes you say things, sometimes you think things, sometimes you do both, sometimes there's more to it. There's also the ritual aspect of sex, so which is not the same as necessarily a spell you're doing. A ritual and a spell is not necessarily the same thing. So a ritual would be maybe something probably a little bit more details are involved in that process. Not saying that they're not in a spell, but there is some differences. What it is not is sex magic is not something a spell you do to get sex. I think that's apparent, but I don't know, so I'm gonna just be clear and bring that up. It's not something you do to have sex. You don't do a spell. You can, but don't do that. First of all, you can do with spells be more attractive, but that doesn't fall under the sex magic umbrella. Anyway, so there you go. So that's kind of just like a high level. I just kind of want to get that out when I start going forward on the conversation. So, when you're doing a spell, let's say, and I'm going to give examples here just to make it a lot easier. So, if the spell is to make a baby and you're using sex magic to do so. Now, just because you're using sex magic doesn't mean you're not employing other types of magic. So you could still be using candle magic, using herbs. There might be some food involved, so you're using the herbs and the food and so forth, and conjuring as well. Conjure as well. It's like it's a lot of types of magics being put into one practice, right? Or for one result, which is to make this baby. So it's everything from the scents that you're wearing, that you both are wearing, to the clothing that you start, the foods you eat, what you drink, the music being played. Everything has a place and a magical piece to the overall event. Okay, so the act of sex itself. Honestly, you can take this as far as even certain positions, because if you look throughout history, the ancients, especially, in other cultures, where sex, I would say, prior to what we know of as the Arab culture today, it actually was very progressive at one point, including sexuality. So there's some material, search, you can find it, but there's some material that you could find as far as sex positions and things like that that had some sort of spiritual intent to it. Obviously, we know that about Indians, the Kama Sutra, stuff like that. I don't know how old the Kama Sutra is, but I know there's information that predates that. And then I understand in Egyptian mythology, it's the same thing, or culture. I want to say mythology because it sounds like I'm, minimizing it. But anyway, there's details about not just the act of sex, but even certain sexual positions and what that's evoking. So anyway, do a little bit of homework on that so you can make that even more, layer your spells even more. Okay, so the act of sex itself. Then there's the process of even collecting sexual fluids because they're considered a life force. And if you combine, the fluids of both partners, there you go. You have now something even more powerful because everything up to that point has been very intentional, including the act of sex. If your partner is involved in this practice and what you're doing, that's even better. So now you have the sexual fluids, which again, I said you can use different types of magic. So now we have the sexual fluids. If you want to combine herbs, also candles, we got our hoodoo action going on. So we can go ahead and do that. And again, with the intent to make this baby. Burn the candle, maybe that you've rubbed your sexual fluids on. You can also, the place that you're in, maybe you're in a place that you want to have the nursery or something like that. I mean, you can really layer this up with so many steps of intention, which is really the key here. Your intention, you're very focused, and if your partner is just as focused, this is awesome to have a very powerful effect in the end. Okay, so that's a, so I just kind of gave an example about how you would go that route as far as, let's say, the ultimate result was to make a baby. So I gave a lot of layers and steps, right? And even, something to kind of search on, looking for like sacred positions, sexual positions. What does it mean? Ritual wise, I would say, especially for what I call the high holidays. I like saying high holidays. There's one going to be coming up pretty soon. Beltane's coming up, and you can have a ritual there if you're following that, or even if you're not, you just want to partake. You can turn a sexual experience into a ritual because it could be, again, it's all about intention, what you wear on, the sense, the sounds, all the senses are being stimulated with this intent to honor something, in this case, in this ritual. If you want to honor a deity, if you want to honor, just fertility and, what that represents and all that sort of stuff, you can have sex with that intention in mind. Yeah, you can definitely do that. And again, you can look at different positions to see if any of them are considered sacred positions and so forth. And you can, again, capture the fluids and all that sort of stuff, or not in that case. But just the act itself, it can be very simple. You might not even go that far into it. It's just the act itself. Maybe there's specific spelled candles that you have around while you're actually performing this ritual. So it doesn't have to, all the other stuff isn't as detailed. You do what you normally do, whatever positions you want to do and how you want to do it, but maybe the candles in the room. By the way, that's still sex magic. Those candles, they represent something. They're releasing something into the energy, and your sexual energy is combining the energy that you already spelled to the candles, and you release that. Other ways to go about as far as practicing sex magic is, again, I mentioned group sex. Listen, it's 2020. We're not judging people for what they do, guys. We're not doing that. And the reality of it is, poly life is a thing. People are really living that life, and I don't. If it's not me, I don't care. Like it doesn't matter, and I'm never uncomfortable talking about this sort of stuff because why not? It's happening. Like, but I guess you can have strong opinions about things on what other people are doing. The only thing I have a strong opinion on is someone doing all this without consent and or with minors. Let me cancel that. You're not, even if you're a minor, your consent means nothing. So let me backtrack. Being a minor or not giving consent, that's when none of this is okay. So there we go. Anyway, outside of that, yeah, so group sex. So group sex, again, powerful way of raising energy. So if you fortunate enough to be in a coven where people are, this is a ritual that you're going to do, and this is, everybody's kind of in on it, and the whole purpose of this sexual act is for ritualistic purposes. The energy that you can be raised there is beautiful, and then maybe you agree this energy can be used for personal reasons for each of the participants or not, or if it's just for the sake of the group or to give honor, to something else, someone else, or something like that. There's no issue there. I don't see anything wrong with that. That's more people for more power. Hence the term covens. The covens. One of the advantages to working in a group is the amount of energy and power that can be raised with multiple people, like-minded people, all working on the same thing. That's very powerful. So, same goes for group sex. Same thing. Now, if you're in a situation where you're doing sex magic, let's say, or even a ritual, and the other person has no idea that's what you're doing. They just think they're just just nice, smell good candles, or it's a group sex, and they just think this is a good time. You're the only one coming from a different point of view. It can still work. The situation can still work. Be mindful, even if it's one person or several people that you're participating in a sexual act with, their energy, besides the sex energy, if they're not just focused on just the sex and they have some other stuff going on, some other energy, that's also in the pot now. And hopefully it's not counteracting, because people are telling you what they're thinking. You don't know. I mean, energy doesn't lie. Maybe you can pick up on the vibe, but some people got whole other things that's going on in their head. Maybe they have money issues. Maybe they have other stuff going on, and this is a release for them, and they're trying really hard to focus on the moment, but that other stuff is still kind of present. The concern I would have with that is about the partner not being aware of what you're doing, or partners, is that they're going to F up your vibe. They're going to mess it up without you knowing it. They're just going to mess it up because they're bringing some energy you didn't need. That's why it's best when everybody's on the same page. Might not happen, but it might happen. It's something you kind of got to contend with. Maybe you want to do a spell within a spell to counteract. You would say something along the lines of, I can't rhyme, I struggle on demand, so just know, but you can make this rhyme somehow, find the right wording. But you want to say something in your spell to guard against unwanted energy other than this specific energy that you want, this sexual energy. The pleasure. You want to kind of really go in on that and talk about what you really, really want. And anything that's not this, block it. Maybe you want to have a certain crystal present, or wear a certain jewelry or something like that when you're in the middle of the act, or a certain potion that you put on your skin, oils, whatever. So that part of it is blocking the unwanted stuff, so you just get what you want, for the overall magic to work. So there's that. If you're by yourself, cool. All right. So if you're by yourself and you want it, first of all, it's even easier because it's just you. You don't have to worry about anybody else's energy, and you know what to do to get the party started and to end the party. So that's a good situation. So you have complete control now. And I wouldn't even say that you're lacking of energy wise, because again, you got to hope that everybody's aligned with what you want, or what the purpose is of this sex magic. Outside of that, yeah, it's obviously easier if it's just you, because it's just you. So you're making the rules. It starts when you start, it stops when you stop. Everything is what you think and what you want. So you can go with that. And honestly, you can do this with somebody else, but when you're by yourself and you're just focusing, just you, you can take this a whole other way, because you could be having a sexual encounter with an entity. Is there a specific god or goddess that you want to have, that type of relationship with, and you can play that out in your mind as well. And maybe having this exchange with this is your petition, this is the energy you're giving them. Obviously you're going to be working with a god or goddess that is open to this, but you can do that. And have your spelled candles around you, all that. And ultimately the whole purpose, if it's just to give reverence to this god or honor to them or goddess or whatever, that's fine. If it's to get something from them or for them to help you, work that and make sure you're very clear on what your intentions are. But that is definitely possible. And finally, as far as just under the umbrella of sex magic, Um, I talked about consent and I kind of just brushed over it, but back to the whole thing of you're participating in a sexual act and the other person has no idea that you're practicing magic. I would say hopefully they have some consent, but I'm going to say this on the flip side. It depends on what the magic is. Because for some people, sex is almost always sacred. Whenever they're having sex, it's usually, I mean, for some people, it really is. They consider it something very sacred, almost, excuse me, all the time. So I don't know about giving up too much information. I think it really depends on what kind of what's the goal, what are you working, what are you doing. That might matter a little bit more. If it's a ritual to a deity or something like that, I don't know. I would be very careful. Again, infusing other people's energy. How does that? What's the personality supposedly of this deity that you're working with? Are they cool with that? Or do they have a history of something being taken from them? Rape or some sort of encounter like that where they were done dirty, and they might not like that you're doing that, so you have to be mindful of that. So that consent thing is, when it comes to telling them you're doing magic, you gotta be careful on what it is that you're doing, if not for anything, because you know again, what are you invoking, what are you doing with this magic, where is it going? So it can have consequences. Now, as far as the other person is concerned, um, if you're dealing with somebody who has no idea you practice witchcraft at all, you don't plan on telling them about it, you want to keep it for whatever, and this could be somebody you're with, not just an encounter. Listen, we all live different lives. So I completely understand that. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. You might not be able to ever tell them, and you're still gonna do what you want to do and employ sex magic. I completely understand that, and that you just have to answer to yourself. You just have to hold yourself accountable with that. Um, and just watch your results of your magic. Are you getting any sort of weird feedback afterwards? Like them, are they telling you like low energy? Are they telling you like things are going wrong for them? Because you could be almost like in an energy vampire situation where you're the energy vampire. So just pay attention. Pay attention. Hopefully, it's something for me. I would look at it because it's me and my husband. Typically, whatever I'm working on is for our betterment. So if I didn't give specifics about what my intention was, if it was something I was considered sacred in the moment, it wouldn't matter to him. It wouldn't matter, because overall, everything I want is usually, like I said, for the good of us. So, and vice versa. Um, Not that he's practicing any magic that I'm aware of. I mean, that would be fun to find out all this time. This man sitting around doing spells, casting spells, and just wanted to keep it hidden from me. I would be amused. I would not be angry. I would be seriously amused. That would be hysterical to me, and I would not even be mad. I would just have so many questions. But alas, that is not my situation. He is not practicing magic behind my back. Um, I don't practice magic behind his back. He knows I practice. Does he know every spell that I do? Which kind of goes along with what I'm saying. No, he doesn't know every spell that I do. I don't announce to him, hey, I did a money spell because I want this to happen, or I did this spell because I want this item, or I want these things to happen, or I want this person to open the road up for this to go down, or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't do that. Or I'm doing a self-care spell on myself, or I'm working on my hair's oil, so I want to bless them. He doesn't know the ins and outs of my everyday magical stuff. No, and he does not care to know. Not because he doesn't want to hear about it, or this is upsetting to him, or he just doesn't care at all. It's more that if it was something specific, yeah, it's kind of like if I gave him a laundry list of everything I did that day. Oh, I did the laundry, I mopped the floor, I did my hair, I took a shower. I live my witchcraft life. He knows that, so I don't need to give every detail. So for us, where we are, if it was something as far as sex magic is concerned, if I was using our sexual energy for the purpose of doing a spell or doing a ritual, I might mention it to him, I might not. Depends on what it is. Sometimes I don't even know I'm going to do that until the moment happens, and then I employ it. It's not even always premeditated and planned. Which I'm going to end it with this. Let's say you didn't, you watched this video, okay? You weren't even, you didn't plan anything out. You didn't write anything out. You didn't put anything in your book of shadows or your grimoire or journal. You just had this in your head, in the back of your head, and then you have sex with your significant other or whatever. And you think about it like, maybe I could use this now. Okay, that's okay too. On the fly. That's all right. Use it now. Go ahead and do it. Um, and those on the fly moments, basically, it's going to be mostly about just the energy and focusing on building the energy. And then ultimately, what you will want to do is if you have something that you want to take that energy that was raised and code that energy into it, transfer that energy into it, like a piece of jewelry, a necklace, a crystal, or something like that. Have that very close to you. Have it in your hand. If you're in a bed, under your pillow where you could get to it real quick, or your night table where you could grab it. And as you're building that energy, you're doing two things now. You need to be in that moment, very much so, but also very cognizant that you are transferring that energy into that stone, that piece of jewelry, or whatever that you're doing that. So you've got to split the mind, third eye is totally activated in this moment, and you need to split your thoughts a little bit by, and both holding both of them very focused on both acts at the same time. So it can be done. People do it. Like I said, these are ancient practices. And then as far as the sexual positions, maybe you did a quick internet search on a couple things, you found some things, and you can, again, it's really about your intent at that point and what you're doing with that energy. The energy is being raised regardless. I'm just telling you to do something else with it from a magical perspective, for manipulating energy to give you something you want, or for the result that you would desire outside of the sexual satisfaction. That's all. So yeah, that's all I had to say on the subject. Hopefully this was helpful. I wanted to just keep it really high level, touch on some things, but I didn't want to, linger too much on one particular topic, because I think sometimes people take this subject and they make it a lot more complicated than what it should be. For instance, oh, well, should I tell the guy or should I tell the girl or whatever what I'm doing? And what am I doing with the sexual fluids? You could use them, you could not. You could smear them on a candle and inscribe and then smear it and use it for something else. You can do whatever really you want to do. If you can think about it, if you can kind of envision that spell or that ritual that you'd like to do, yeah, it can be done. Do it. Just keep your intent on what it is. Write your stuff down. Write everything down. Be mindful of the timing. What was the moon phase, the time of day. This is when you're doing, obviously if it's planned, but you want to just be a little bit more mindful about that, because if everything aligns just right, you kind of need to know that if it was successful, you want to do it again, because you kind of want to almost copy that experience, because it's kind of like science. It's an experiment. You did the experiment, you got the results you wanted, you're going to do it again and test it to see if you can do it, yield the same results. So you're going to want to keep your tests the same, similar variables and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, hopefully this was helpful. Again, I'm Mika, this is Lee Take It. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And thanks for watching. All right, bye.